Welcome to the We Rock podcast. Austin, again, I don't know what number it was because I'm not intelligent enough to look that up
I don't know special episodes if we give them a number or not.
Do we want to start going by letter when we do that?
Just make it up.
Okay. Well, I'll call it. This is episode alpha. I don't know. Yeah, make this up as we go. Well, this is a special episode, as we've said, and we're joined with Melissa, who's better known as her handle Funeral Babe on Instagram and Facebook and all the other things. How's it going, Melissa?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. It's going really good.
Good. How's the weather up there in New York?
The Canada fires, it's very foggy and it's very hot, like 94 for us, but I guess that's a lot different than Texas.
Well, it depends. Austin, you didn't get any rain today, did you?
A little bit.
Did you? So it was. It's been unseasonably cool. So usually this time of year we're easily triple digits with by noon, and the ground's harder than any stone we install because it's been so dry forever. But we've had, I don't know. I think we've had something close to 30 inches of rain since April 1st. So it's we're I think we're okay for the year. I'd like it to stop raining so I can get stuff done.
At least you're not a little bit further south than you are and getting some of that big rain.
Oh yeah, Lakey's getting a bunch of it now. I've been watching stuff. It's a good thing I'm not going to go float the river this weekend. Is kind of what it comes down to.
So you could go float it. It just would be a little interesting.
It's a different float. I mean, it's not relax and drink your beer while floating.
It's called survival.
So
if you go float the river this weekend, you might have to call somebody like Melissa, or your family will have to.
Yeah. So Melissa, down in Texas, we'll go. We get to be a bit redneck where we will go take old tire tubes out of tractors and fill them full of air, and you set them in the river, and you set another one that has a cooler in it full of beer. And
river floating.
Yes, and you just go float the river.
I always wanted to do that.
Calm down. We have a great time. And it is depending upon how high the water is, it can be anywhere from a 4-hour float to an 8-hour float, soaking in the sun, playing music, and just watching people.
Yeah, give me 2 coolers in the 8 hours.
Heck yeah. So that's but this week I don't recommend it as everything I've seen. In fact, the last one I saw this afternoon before I went to my last meeting was there was 12 foot of water over one of the low water crossing bridges. So I was like, I don't think I would float that. So, but no, everything's good out here and it's nice and warm and whatnot. So, but we wanted to have Melissa on and talk about the different aspects of the different sides of the death care industry. Of course, we talk a lot about the monument side of things, and those of you who tune in all the time, we've talked to different folks about the industry and how it's perceived, whether we've talked to suppliers and how they approach things, and talking with Mr. Cockrell, which was a great time where we talked. So Melissa, we talked to Lee Cockrell, who was the vice president of Disney.
Vice president of Disney World for 10
Disney World. Yep. And so got to talking about hospitality aspect of the death care industry, which gets lost, right? So many times people get focused on, trying to get the job done, and we get overwhelmed with trying to catch on to the next one and make sure everything's ordered. And we lose sight of being able to go, the family's looking for somebody that will just sit and listen to them at times, or cry with them, or, it's not a big deal if you set the monument for the family and you put vases on the monument, deliver the monument with flowers if you know that they're coming out, so that they can just have something special. And it doesn't cost you that much. It's take an extra step. And it doesn't always have to be that. And you don't have to do it on every one, but there's certain things where it means more. So we had a great conversation with him, but we wanted to kind of have you on and talk about the back room. You've done a great job of talking, showing on your stuff, the back area, which I've seen somebody even talking about it on one of theirs, about how you've opened up that back room, which was kind of like shut off to the regular people for the longest time. So
there was. So A little about me. I'm on my 14th year now, licensed funeral director. I work for a family-owned funeral home, and in like 2021, I started posting on social media. Honestly, it came from a place, I think, after working through the pandemic, especially here in New York. Being in Long Island, we got hit pretty hard. We got all the overflow from the city. So many of the city funeral homes were turning them away. So everyone was coming to us. And during that, like that, especially that heavy, like 4 months, like April time, like I must have went through it, emotionally. I felt like all your friends are home, and they're on their Zooms and they're off of work for 2 weeks, and it's like I was going through it. And then I found out about TikTok. Like my younger cousins were on this app, so I started watching a few. I'm like, wow, this seems really cool. Like I don't know anyone. I was like, I want to make a post, and I wanted to be able to talk about like things at work and talk about my feelings and answer the questions that people always ask me as soon as they find out I'm a mortician. They're like, well, do you see dead people? Do you do this? And it's like, I want to just be able to talk about these things. And I know my friends and family, like, I don't want to, it's a heavy job, and I don't want to put that on them every day and all the time. And I kind of started using it as like this anonymous outlet. I showed my face and everything, but I didn't feel like anyone would ever see me. And the people who wanted to know would know. And it got really big from there. And I started to really understand I wanted to educate people and let them see both sides of a funeral service, let them know things they might not know.
Yeah. Well, and you've seen it. There's been kind of a growing trend of that over the last couple of years. There's a few out there. Of course, I can't recall all their names, but there's a few of them that have been gotten pretty popular. It was one of them's name is, I think he's David. Is that right? Who's been making some posts. Don't quote me on that, but and he just really has been posting really well about explaining what he does, but explaining the impact of how this stuff impacts families and the importance of doing things the right way. Down to, there's some of them that I think are comical and not necessarily fully accurate to some extent. I think on the monument side, monument guys are missing it, not necessarily because.
Well, for one, it's a very old industry.
Yeah.
And of course, the funeral industry is old too, but there is a younger crowd that is moving into the funeral industry. I mean, you can go to any funeral college and you can see younger people moving through funeral college, but with the monument industry, it's old.
The running joke here has always been that it's like dragging monument guys into the 20th century. Here we are in the 21st. It's they're still, guys that have press right letters in the back room that they're still trying to use somehow. But it's a matter of trying to get in front of people. And what they're doing a lot is, hey, look at us set this monument. We can sell one to you too. And it's like, man, you're the used car guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not personal anymore.
Well, there's even that one guy that he has, he's touring around the United States doing cemetery restoration, and he has a TikTok, and then he's posting on Facebook with it. But it's become a running joke amongst a lot of us monument builders because it's the absolute opposite of what you should be doing. And there's that one where he had that 6-foot obelisk almost crush him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was, and like of all things, it's a bunch of old guys who don't move fast. I don't mean because old guys can't do stuff. I mean because old guys don't move as fast as young guys. And so as this thing's coming down, they're going, oh, look, it's coming down. And just kind of watching it fall. And instead of nothing was strapped up and nobody knew how to rig the thing right. And I've said in fact, I just got back from a meeting with one of the cemeteries here. They're getting ready to remove a bunch of benches that are the metal benches and require only the granite benches. Because they've had issues with these metal benches breaking and falling apart and people getting hurt because it's a city-owned cemetery. They're liable for that stuff. Yeah. And so they were asking, well, how do you attach your benches? And I explained to them, all of my benches are pinned and epoxied together. We put them on granite bases so that there's no way it's going to rock loose. Because I've been to a cemetery and watched an old guy sit on a bench that wasn't attached well and it fall over. And like, I want to sleep at night and I don't want my stuff coming apart.
Yeah.
So, or similar to the cross that we picked up. Austin, I tell you about the cross I picked up a couple weeks ago. down in Houston. It was. It has been there since I think 13. I put straps on it. It took 30 seconds to pull it apart.
Oh,
It was absolutely no work whatsoever. A good storm going through there. I'm surprised Harvey didn't knock it over because it was just barely together, and there was no pin in it. And so it's guys who I think mean well a lot of times putting stuff together, but not really going out there and doing things the right way. But I for us as the monument industry, I feel like we need to be doing more of what I'm seeing here, which is kind of showing the back room, not just the way we do things, but the right way to do things to make people safe, but also tell the stories. I mean, if we're all storytellers by trade, that's what we should be doing anyway.
Correct. Yeah. And of course, before we started recording, Melissa, you kind of heard what got me into the monument business, and then of course, Tony as well. But prior to you getting into the funeral industry, was there any stigma that surrounded it that made you leery of getting into it? Or was it something that you just one day woke up and decided, hey, I want to be a funeral director?
I feel like I was pretty solidified by like 17. Like I knew I was going to mortuary school. Like that was kind of like set on it. But I would say that the entire process, almost up to today, the leery part is how many people tell you that are in the business to get out.
Wow.
Yeah. Before I even started, it was like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
Well, I don't know that I get people that tell me get out, but I think that for the longest time, people thought it was a cute hobby. Is how it kind of got approached, as if it was like, oh yeah, it's almost like the guy who has started his own little business printing labels for trophies or something like that in his house, and it becomes this, oh well, yeah, look, it's a cute little job. And instead of treating it like it's a real business, and it takes you actually having done something, and it takes my giant big blueberry truck driving down the road for them to think I'm serious.
Right. Like they don't see the value in it because it's not something they see every day. So it's like, oh, you make headstones. And it's like, do you know how many headstones are made a week or installed a week and so on and so forth, and what you're actually doing and that value behind it.
Yeah.
Most
sorry, I'm not
going to select a headstone once in their life, if that.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard you mention before that you believe that you're a completely different version of yourself now than what you were before, and whether or not that those versions of yourself would even recognize one another. And just talking about who you are now, it's been this series of experiences that has made you into what you are now. And if anything, of course, I've seen your content for a while, and then Tony brought you up about having you on. And one thing that I really appreciate what you've done, especially for your side of the business, is you've like Tony said earlier, you've pulled the veil back, showing people what goes on in their local funeral home behind the doors that normally say employees only or private, and you've brought that to the front, and you've been very open and honest with a lot of people and answered a lot of questions. And but more importantly, what you've done is you've shown how to do it the correct way with dignity, respect. And I think that's one of the reasons why you've established the following that you have. And
the heart's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then and I've kind of said even across the board, just there's no value in doing it if the heart's not there. And if that's the case, there's so many other jobs. If you're a monument guy and you're just thinking, oh, I'm going to make good money, go be a stonemason somewhere else. Go lay bricks and do that kind of stuff. Because if you're only after the next buck, then you're not giving that family the proper care. And I'd argue the same thing when it came to the funeral directors. I've seen too many of them that are kind of halfway there. And which is why so many of them, I can't sit there and say all of them will jump from funeral home to funeral home because of that. Some of them jump from funeral home to funeral home because they're bad at it. But some of them do jump because they're trying to find a better fit with a funeral home that actually cares for their families. But that's not the biggest reason for the turnover rate.
Definitely not. I think one of the biggest reasons for turnover in this industry is it's a retention problem due to pay scale, due to management issues, due to the working hours and the emotional toll. The business side of it is very difficult at 24/7. And, you know, a lot of people a lot of funeral directors get taken advantage of, and it's very sad. It's one thing that putting myself on the internet, I pulled back a veil for myself. You know, my DMs are always open, I say, and I hear a lot of sad stories and why people leave the industry.
Yeah. But it's tough, and being able to suck it up and listen to sad stories. I had to learn a long time ago that it's not about me and the questions I want to ask or the questions I want to do. I kind of changed, and Austin knows how my approach whenever I talk with a family, probably better than most because we've talked enough. But I usually, as a rule of thumb, never ask a family what they want on a monument. It's not my thing. I could care less. I don't care what you want to spend. It's not. I don't ask what your budget is. It's none of my business how much you've got planned to spend. But it is my business to listen to you tell me who your loved one was, who dad was, what did he love to do, right? Tell me the fishing stories he used to have, or, you know, man, he used to always talk about that time that we went out and you know, went on that one vacation and he lost the car keys, or, you know, whatever the situation is. Those are the stories that everybody always tells on somebody. Those are the stories that we want to continue to do. And those are the ones that bring comfort to the families I serve, you know? And so I will often spend an hour and a half talking to a family, 2 hours, and never have talked about the monument whatsoever. Yep. And we will get to talking about all kinds of things. I've had families in here where, because Texas A&M's just down the street, we talk Aggie baseball and football and things like that till we're blue in the face. And we're like, oh, we hadn't talked about the monument. But I have enough information to know what the passion of that individual is.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, yeah, no, I know where it needs to be. And it becomes that taking steps, which I've seen some of the funeral directors around here do, where it becomes, you know what, he really loved, it's not just like, oh, he loved the Cowboys, let's put a Cowboys star in here or put a blue casket, but going that extra mile and making sure that it feels like you're at the event, or it feels like it's him walking in the door. I've joked with my wife years ago, and it was with one of the funeral directors who is a friend of ours. I said, when I pass, you come talk to Cody. And I said, I don't want the crying service. Don't put the crying music up. I've got plenty of songs on my phone that are sitting there running. And I said, play with the stuff off my phone. I've got a mountain of bourbon sitting on the wall, on the bar over there that you'll never touch. Bring the bourbon out. Let everybody drink on me. Have a good time. Have the pastor say something if you wish. I want you to put my casket on my setting truck that I spent way too much money on and deliver me that way. You know, have a good time. Tell the stories on me. I'm not there. I don't care.
Our mutual friend Halsey there for his funeral, they did it on the 4th of July weekend, and they had a big clam bake party on the beach.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
That was the life celebration, big thing. Like that's a way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The funeral home that my parents owned, I was going through some of the pre-needs one day, and the most interesting one that I've come across was in the comment section for what his final wishes are. He wants no clergy, no flowers, no ceremony whatsoever. All it's going to be, it'll be in the funeral home chapel, and for 20 minutes, it'll play Van Halen as loud as the speakers can, and then everybody can leave.
I love it.
Yeah. I did go on a service that was similar, where a friend of mine lost his dad, and they had the service, and we're sitting there, and it's a lot of country music, classic rock, and then all of a sudden Insane Clown Posse comes on, and I'm like going, are you kidding me? And we're sitting there just dying. And that's what he wanted. He loved watching his kids jam out to their music or something like that. And I'm like, okay, this is cool.
it's like one of my favorite like parts of my job is that no, even like a traditional funeral, no two funerals are the same.
Mhm.
Some of them are so like memorable. Some of them are, and that's like when we say like, the old me, I've been my new me, like I could never actually leave this job. Like there's so like the way you get to meet people and understand people, and then even just the impact that somebody's life had on you that you never actually met.
Mhm.
It's so I've learned some of my greatest life lessons from these people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's stuff that you take home and you'll think about forever, and it changes how you react with your children or with your friends and those kind of things. It becomes who you are. It weirds my friends out when we hang out when I start telling them stories that I hear from people, and they're like, "Tony, quit telling me your dead people's stories." Like, so
Like there's a lesson to learn here.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, has the work that you're in, has it made you more grateful or more impatient with the way people waste time?
I would say I think that it for myself, I could appreciate all my time so much. It's definitely humbled me in certain ways. It showed me watching people grieve and having that front row seat to other people's grief shows you like what's really important in life. The hearing the last things they say, like when they don't think anyone's listening, over the casket, like I'm standing there, I can hear it.
Yep.
Like, what's important. So definitely, I would say, has made me more grateful. But I will say that like my friends and family, sometimes I can get a little impatient where I'm like, guys, how do you not know? Like, why are you not listening to all the things I tell you? Like, that's not important. Okay. It's not important.
Yeah.
This
Right.
is important. So I'm a little impatient with them. But
Right.
most of the time a lot of my friends, like I'm the advice giver. Everyone always comes to me because it's like, you got to look at the bigger picture. It's not forever.
Well, it's crazy the amount of moments that you're invited into working in the business that you are that nobody will ever see, and like most funeral directors, they could write a book, but the problem is it can never be published because those are stories that you can't share with the public.
That's like I do share some stories with my audiences, like voiceovers, and any of those stories, like I know, like the stories are all true, but maybe it wasn't a she, maybe it was a he.
There you go.
Know, and everything is always like I never put dates to things because that stuff's private.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One of the ones that you brought up, one of the ones that was, I guess, impactful for me to hear was you talking about watching a daughter fix her mom's hair for the last time. And like a lot of people that may sound insignificant, but whenever you've watched these intimate moments of these families doing this, and I think some of them, even the families themselves, might be caught up in the moment.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Oh, last interruption.
That's okay. No worries.
Hey, like we said, families come first. So
yeah, right.
Whatever comes up, comes up.
Yeah.
For the longest time, if you go back and listen to any of our stuff, the train is like literally that way for me, and you'll hear trains run, the phones ring, all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
Now there's been times we've had to cut recordings short just because somebody's walked in and.
Oh, there was one. Was it like the first season or whatever? I'm sitting at my desk, and we usually do it on Fridays, and so I'll shut my office down at 3:00, and I'll lock the door. And my office was in a different spot, and so I had my chair turned to the door because I could see somebody coming up on the cameras, and they're banging on the door because they could see the monitors on. And I had to go, hold on, and go say, hey. I'm in a meeting. I'm sorry, we're closed. Can I call you later? Yeah. It's fine. It's nothing we haven't done before, so you're good.
Yeah. No, we are the absolute opposite of professionals whenever it comes to doing stuff like this. It's all right.
But I can say, being let into those moments, like it also is one of those things where, like, at least for myself, I can't help but to see myself in that position. Like, thankfully my parents are still alive, but it's not that I don't think about how I'm going to be the last one to touch my mom's hair. And it's like, it's a shared moment of, distant, but I can feel that almost in a sense. So
it is those things. Yeah, it is those things that there's a story I tell a lot about my last situation with my grandmother. So, when my grandmother passed, she was cremated, and we buried her remains in a rural cemetery down in South Texas. And in doing so, of course, I had the urn made. We're all there. Well, my grandmother loved pink. So what my mom did was she had purchased a pink rose for every grandchild, great-grandchild, and child to lay on her grave as we left. So I was fine up until the moment in time I put her ashes in the ground. And I knew as soon as my hand left the urn, I was going to be done. And because I'd held it in for so long. And it's funny, my kids were pretty young at that time. And they still have talked about seeing me break down like a blubbering baby as soon as my hand left the urn. So after that, I regained my composure, filled the dirt back in on top of the hole. And my mother says, all right, so now everybody can put their flower back on the grave. And we're standing there, and she's standing next to me, and she goes, Tony, you can put your flower there. I said, no, I can't. She goes, no, it's okay. You can put your flower there for your grandmother. I said, no, I can't. And she knows me well enough at that point in time. She cut her eyes at me, and she goes, what'd you do? So I was not only the first grandchild, but I was the only grandson. And so my flower is in her urn. And it's just one of those things that I get to live with in enjoyment forever. And is it ceremonial? No. But it means something to me. And so I use that as an illustration to families to be like, let the things you want to do for the stone and for your memory and all of that be, I will find a way around cemetery rules.
Yeah.
We will find a way to make it so you get what you want. But you need to have what you want, because what's the point of doing any of this if it doesn't bring up good memories?
Yeah. Well, it's like, for me, like too, all my friends and family, they call me, I'm sure Austin, too, like I get the call. It's always me. So, you end up taking care of your own family, your aunts, your uncles, your friend's mom, and all my friends or my family will always be like, are you okay to do this? Like, are you sure? Like, are you going to handle it? And it's like, you don't get it. Like, I'm going to do all the extra little special things. And like, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe nobody cares if I did that or didn't do it, but I'm going to know, and it's going to matter to me. And those are like, and it is, and it's a memory in a weird sense. Like for me, it's comforting. I always offer families too, like when we're closing the casket, do you want to be in the room? Do you want to be the last one to see them? Because for me, I always say I'm the last person to see people before I close the casket. I didn't know that person, it doesn't feel like an honor I deserve. I always do it, with the most respect, but it's like sometimes like for a family member, at least, you were the last person to close the lid. Maybe that will mean something, and that's a memory in the future, like your rose in the urn.
Oh yeah. It's funny you brought up that whenever something happens in the family, the call comes to you. I'm actually in between my mom's aunt's funeral right now. We had the burial.
This is my favorite service of all time, by the way, as of right this second.
Yeah, we had the burial last Saturday, and this weekend on Saturday we'll have a memorial service, and there's about 8 hours that separate the two locations. So my parents and I, we took her in the casket out to West Texas. We had the burial, and then this weekend I get to play funeral director out there. I got to make sure to bring my suit, and I'll be the funeral director on site for that service. But
that's amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And of course I've got me a list sitting over here of everything I need to make sure. I need to make sure I bring the bag with the memorial folders in it. I need to bring the guest book. I need to bring the easel to put it on, and just on and on and on. But like, you know how all that goes.
Oh yeah. I went to one of the conventions last year, and I'm in the parking lot, there's so many minivans, and somebody has that list literally taped in big letters, like easel, books, register book. And it's like,
Austin, it's the idiot sticker on the dash.
Every little thing.
Well, we have talked about the idiot sticker that has to go on the dash of the setting trucks, right?
Yep. I had to put an idiot sticker on the dash of my truck to make sure that the trailer is latched before they leave the cemetery.
Yeah,
we've had an issue before.
We put we put idiot stickers on the monuments before they leave the property to make sure that they have the vases that go on the monument.
And that's a bold assumption thinking.
I almost needed my own idiot sticker. I probably should. I had my very idiot move the other day. It was pouring rain out. Literally, there's no excuse for this for me, okay? But I drove about halfway to my county medical examiner's office before I turned around and realized I didn't have my stretcher. Not one.
I've heard that story more than once. It happens. Either that or getting to the church and the church trucks are not in the hearse.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that hasn't happened to me.
she's gonna think about it next time she walks out the door, though. This is the next service is at a church. Oh, hold on. Mm-hmm. Is it there?
The worst I had is my hearse broke down on a funeral. That was like nerve-wracking for me. But the craziest thing is that, and it was a brand new hearse, like it was 2024. It was a brand new 2024 hearse. The family absolutely loved it. They thought it was hilarious because their father, who died, always made the kids, like always got them jumper cables for their brand new cars. He's like, it doesn't matter. You always need jumper cables on you. And it was like, that was his final lesson. They thought it was great.
Yep.
It's always something.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
No, and I think that those stories make good for us. And I've always said that at some point in time, I'm going to have compiled enough of these stories that I'm going to write a book, because the things that we hear from our end, and I've got one lady who still comes in, and we've talked about her a lot on the show, where her name is Miss Phyllis Rivers. Miss Rivers was a casino table operator in rural Oklahoma for a very long time. And I think she's in her 70s, and she's a giant Kid Rock fan, which is bizarre. So she still comes in, talks Kid Rock and all this. Well, she came in one day and she goes, I want you to change the monument. The monument's already in the cemetery. We already took care of it. I need you to go add something to the monument. Well, I'll do whatever you want. You tell me what you want on there. I want you to put on the bottom underneath where my final date goes, it was fun. Yes, ma'am. We'll take care of that for you. And she still comes in, talks about it. And it's stories like that, because it means more. It ends up being something that's important to the family. Mm-hmm. Whether it's that or the other inside joke. I keep telling my dad forever, like, oh, you don't know what you're doing with my monument. I know exactly what I'm doing with your monument. And I don't mean like I know every detail as to what I'm going to do. I can tell you on the back side of the monument, and he's going to hate it, and I don't care. And I'm going to write on the back of it, I remember when this was 2-lane blacktop with ditches on both sides. Every daggum trip we went on, everyone.
I love it.
It's like, but it means something to us as a family, It'll mean nothing to anybody else later on down the road.
But it is. My uncle says it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good.
Yeah. And whether that's that or like the family we did where the lady emotionally wanted a private poem on the backside of the monument, but she wanted it engraved forever. So what we did on that particular monument was I took the polish off and engraved the letter. But the surface of the stone I had sealed so that you can go out there. It's hard. You can barely read it at all. It's really a struggle to read when it's dry. But if you go out there with a bottle of water, you can pour the bottle of water across the top, and the letters will then darken up so that you can actually read the poem. And it means something to her. Mm-hmm. It wasn't for anybody else. It was just for her. So she has something special. And that's why you do it. That's why you do those things. And that is one of those things that we've been trying to encourage monument guys forever, is just take that extra step. Go take the extra minute or 2 or 3 to put in the effort to do something, whether it's that or shape the vase out so that it means something more. I routinely will ask about what a guy's hobbies are, what mom's hobbies are. We've got one in particular that we did it's just a flat top monument. And I asked them what they used to do for fun and vacation. And they would go out to the bay and go bay fishing. And so they had a painting of him fishing in the bay with their boat in the background. And so we took that and made that sandblastable so that it's on the monument. But what they did a lot afterwards is they would go and sit at their on their porch at their bay house and watch the sunset. And they would open up a bottle of rum and pour a glass and sit there and watch the sunset. So I asked him what bottle of rum it was. It's like Florida something or whatever. I went and bought one and copied the line detail off of the bottle and the font, and that is the premise of their monument. So when they walk out there, their name is in that font. The lines from that bottle are on that monument. It means nobody else is going to walk out there and go, "Oh yeah, that's the bottle of rum." They will, and it means it brings up the familiarity of those times going out there. So it didn't cost them anymore on the monument, but the statement we've said forever, and Austin, you've heard me say this till I'm blue in the face, is if you're going to go out, and I don't care what your budget is, you're going to spend $5,000 on a monument. If you go out there and you never see it again, you spent the $5,000. Why did you spend the money? But if I take that same $5,000 and I've made something memorable that brings up good memories, and you go out there and you visit, now your monument has value. And the same would be true to you when it comes to the service side of things.
That's what I always say. Like, my number one thing is I'm not a salesman in any way, especially not a casket salesman by any means. I like to make the casket videos though. And, but like, I always tell families too, like, some families come in and then, they might hear, they want this full funeral and they hear $18,000 or something. And they're like, well, we can't afford that. What's the minimal? It's sometimes I'm like, whatever your budget is, we can use that budget. It might not be, your full traditional. Maybe it's something a little different, but maybe then we can be more personalized. We can make it more, you can use that same money in just a different way. Maybe the monument's not as big, but there's more detail on the monument,
Right.
like something special.
Oh yeah. And that's the one, like Tony said, that's one thing that we've tried to stress to a lot of people, that, and kind of one of the reasons why we do this podcast is to try to encourage other monument builders to push themselves, to try to find where those details are that will come out in that monument. And like we were talking before, one of the biggest problems that we see in our industry is that the barrier to entry is extremely low in our industry. And if anything, it's lowered the standard across the industry as a whole. And I'm pretty sure that that's something that you see in your industry as well, that just lowering standards, and it just leads to, I hate to say subpar work, but sometimes that's what it comes into, especially whenever you see how people prepare bodies, and you can tell whether or not that it was done by a good embalmer or a horrible embalmer. And trying to think, yes, you had a quote that you said one of the biggest problems in your industry is that whenever care becomes efficiency. Mm-hmm. And that's it. It's funny. A lot of the complaints that you have about your industry, it's a direct parallel to ours, that you just change out the subject that you're talking about, and we're literally complaining about the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it was funny because the video today about the price list, and that's actually been a discussion within our groups as of this week. Mm-hmm. What do you do whenever a family comes in and asks for a price list? Because we're not required by law on the monument side to fool with that. It's different overhead. So, whether it's Halsey that's there and that shop that's there in New York, Iconic that's on the other end of Long Island, or our good friend Joe Casera that's over there in Brooklyn, the price structure differs depending upon where they are there. Mm-hmm. And the same thing here. What I charge here for stuff is not what Austin charges there and where he's at, because it's different. I don't want to say tax brackets, meaning like, what your income level is, but I'm taxed by our local government different than he is taxed by his local government. The cost of doing business is more.
Yeah. It's like what we say in Long Island, like certain parts of Long Island, it ain't cheap to have a business there.
No,
it's more expensive.
I harass Joe all the time because he's got to go over the bridge into the city. Incur to do that. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. He goes, well, you don't experience any of that? I'm like, I don't have bridges. It's
yeah, bridges and tolls here.
Oh yeah.
No, the understanding of, well, what's your price? Well, it's not going to the store and buying a loaf of bread. It's not even going to the Chevy dealership and buying a new Chevy, because those are set up on a standard setup price. It is more like building a house. And I would argue the same thing on the funeral side. What do you want? What do you have to have? What do you not have to have? We can adjust this and mold this to fit you. And the monument's no different. We can adjust it and mold it to fit you. And that you're in control of the price. The same 5 things control every price on a monument. I don't care where you are in the country. Shape of the stone, size of the stone, what color you choose. Is it how it's finished on the sides? Is it polished or is it rough? Any add-ons, porcelain pictures, vases, laser etchings, all of that stuff. That's how you control a price, because that's how we're built for it. And once you understand that, the customer's in the driver's seat. They can choose what they want. And everything's a compromise. Every choice you make is a decision that can move where your budget is. So asking me what's the cheapest thing you got doesn't do anything. A good friend of ours that here in Texas has a story where he talks about he had a guy come into his office one day and said, well, what's the cheapest monument you got? And so he took the guy out back and showed him the pet markers. So that's it. That's what I got. That's the cheapest thing I got. Is that good enough for mom? So
the same thing with caskets. People will come in and the first thing they say is, we want a really cheap casket, a really cheap casket. It's like, okay. And you show them like a standard casket and you're like, I could show you one that's like a little nicer, you sure? Like,
you don't take them to the cloth covered wood.
I go right to the, and then people always say they want a plain pine. And once they find out that plain pine isn't that inexpensive, they give that up pretty quick too.
Oh, yes. Well,
it's finished. It's got it's all sanded. It's nice. It's got the pegs. It's still got to get delivered and on a truck.
I haven't seen you do a casket reveal video on a cloth covered wood. I don't think you could make that one as exciting.
I did a good one. It's the one back in black. The black cloth covered.
Okay.
I got a little heat in the industry because I shouldn't be showing those cloth covered caskets looking so nice.
Well, it's one I've told this one before, but several years back, I had a woman come in and she bought a headstone for her dog that had passed away, and she ended up spending like $3,000 on this headstone for her dog. And literally a year later, she came in. I recognized her, and how can I help you? And she said, well, my husband just passed. And I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I appreciate you coming back. Do you have an idea what you may be looking for? And she said, what's the cheapest thing you have? And sold her about a $700 headstone for her husband. And
swear she saw the value.
Hold on, though. The dog didn't ever talk back.
She probably maybe she feels like she's not going to have as much time to enjoy her husband's as she will with the dogs,
Yes, I didn't hear of any suspicious circumstances surrounding his passing. So.
Do you guys feel like monuments are down because of cremation?
We have seen an impact, but one thing that we have especially that I've noticed is, even though with the rise in cremation, because around here we're easily 50% traditional, 50% cremation.
Say about the same.
And in some areas it gets a little bit higher, but one thing that I've started to notice a slight uptick in is the amount of people that are buying cemetery property to bury the ashes now. Yep. And usually it's not the first generation after them. It's usually the second or third that's doing it, because that's one thing that the conversation really doesn't ever happen until it falls in your lap. But yes, you can have grandma in this urn here, and the daughter's going to love to have grandma on the shelf, but is the grandkids going to want grandma, or do you split her up? Does just one of them get them? And then unfortunately, that's why we've seen quite a few urns that have popped up in estate sales at Goodwill stores, just because they just end up getting put on a shelf somewhere in a closet. And,
you're right. I just did. I gave Pine Lawn Memorial Park a big headache. I came in with 5 urns. And it was the third generation, and she had all these urns, and she went and purchased all the niches to put them somewhere because she didn't want them in her closet, kind of thing,
Yep.
Well, it's just like a lot of funeral homes, and I know our funeral home is no exception to this. I guess I'd call it a rule, but there is a closet in the funeral home with unclaimed remains.
Yes. Yep. I've got them from the 50s.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Like 3 times already so far, I'd say in my career, I had somebody come and pick cremated remains up that were we've had for over 10 years.
Wow.
It always came with a story, like something very reasonable. But it was just like, wow, yeah. But here I would say that our cemetery plots are like the cemeteries are, they're getting so expensive that they're, I say burial is only going to be for the rich. Like the average, like around me, like my local is like a $10,000 for a 2-person plot.
Wow.
That's not including that you need a
Right, so it's a $5,000 per average per person. Yeah. So yeah.
Some places like you can get like, 6 or 8 for 3 spots, but then your opening fees are like, $3,400.
Wow. We've got ours range all over the place. We've got a cemetery back here. They start off at $1,200. I've seen some for $500 per plot. And they're not counting for double depth. They don't care. It's $500 for the plot. Usually those are super rural.
I gotta get one over there.
Well, they'll sell it to you. They'll gladly take your money, but not think about the repercussions of it. But the city cemeteries have kind of gotten up there where you're talking in that neighborhood. Most of them are, $3,500, and then you get some other sections that'll be $5,000 a pop, and then other fees if they're double depth. But the double depth that we're usually getting here is mostly like you can do a traditional burial and cremated remains, or 2 sets of cremated remains. They're not doing double depth traditional burial.
Yeah.
So, but where the biggest issue, what I just talked to, in fact, the meeting I just came back from was with that one of the city cemeteries, and it was that they're going to need to do something, because one of the community cemeteries that has a columbarium is at about 90% capacity without any future expansion planned. There's a church cemetery or funeral church cremation niche that is probably at about 75% capacity, and they haven't talked about expansion yet. And then the other city just put in columbariums, but I think they put in a total of 96 niches. And half of them, not half of them, maybe a quarter of them are already taken up. I'm like, y'all aren't ready. Y'all aren't ready.
No, the boomers are coming.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I've never worried about cremation, because the numbers, you may see a massive increase in the percentage, but the quantity of people that are coming are just going to balloon up. And it's all going to be different things, whether it's engraving niche doors or doing expensive monuments for the people who can afford it, or whatever. It's going to be there. It's just a matter for whom and what.
Oh yeah,
I want to be buried with a really big monument. Like really, like the biggest, coolest one, because it's going to be there forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
like
it's got to tell a story, and that's the gist of why you do it. If you're going to do it, make it make sense. We had one I did. I think we started it in 19 and finished it in 20. So during COVID, there was 2 kids. They were cousins, and died in a car accident. One of them played guitar, and I made this really cool guitar cutout that was vertical, and the second piece just kind of had it followed the path of the other one and went up tall. The other one was 2 separate pieces, and one kind of cantilevered over the other. And between the 2, on a stainless steel rod, I put a granite soccer ball. And the soccer ball will spin, so you can walk out there and touch the ball, and it will absolutely rotate around.
Steve, you should have videos on this stuff.
We have a video somewhere. I think it's on our Facebook page. Yeah. But it's, people are less interested in a lot of the monument stuff. We try to get there, but I think I don't know why. So we've tried. We got some other stuff coming up on our side of things, which is yesterday. Austin, you'll appreciate this. My son James, who's 15, I had him out on one of the stones doing some tooling. So I got video of him doing some tool work, and those will come out here once we get those cleaned up. But physically working on sculpting and carving the monument and things like that. So he's become a pretty good little carver. So
maybe he'll be second generation.
We'll see. He keeps talking a lot about cars right now. So, but he's still young and impressionable.
It's the creative aspect is in him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he, the first time I gave him a hammer and chisel, we took him out to this, carving deal that we do. So I go out to a carving deal once a year called School of Hard Rocks, which we talk a lot about here on the podcast. And we'll teach a lot of guys who've never touched a tool before in their life and kind of bring things back to the old school way of doing things. Because not everything new is grand. Sometimes you got to go back to the old stuff and just know how to work the rock. So he got to learn from some of the better designers and carvers in the country. And I've got some of my favorite pictures of him working with guys that have just been my mentors forever. But I didn't direct his artwork. They didn't direct his artwork. They just showed him how to use the tools. And he came out with this really cool marble guitar that he carved. And it's sitting on my back porch. And I was like, there's no dollar value that you can take, that I will take for that thing. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So, but no, listen, thanks for coming on. We greatly appreciate your time.
I can't wait to go and check out your Facebook and find those videos too.
Yeah.
It was awesome talking.
Yeah. So, it's been good to talk and just really show that we're not really any different when it comes to the two sides of the industry. We lose her?
53.
She gone.
Well, it was a good thing that we were kind of rapping in that spot.
Yeah. Oh, there she is.
There she is.
That I've known people to sign off, but that was rather entertaining.
Yes. Me too. Sorry.
No worries at all. We'll fix it and in the recording and then just kind of close up just without it being recording. So
you're fine. You're fine to make me into a joke too. Send it to me. I can do anything.
The statement I made to people all the time is, you can't hurt my feelings. You don't know who my friends are.
Yeah, exactly. I have access to more, guys. I'm not worried about it.
One of the guys I hang out with all the time because, this was like, Austin, I don't know if I told you this. We were hanging out for 4th of July and his son comes up and tries to tell this dark joke. And he goes, look, if you want to hear a dark joke, talk to Tony. And I kind of go, what? And I had to think about it for a second. And I go, oh, maybe I do tell dark jokes. But to me, they're just jokes.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll pick back here.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for coming on. And for Monument Guys, if y'all looking for her, she's Funeral Babe. You can find her on Instagram and Facebook and all the different things, and obviously TikTok, like you talked about. And so go check her out. She really does do a lot of things that we need to be doing as Monument Guys, to really just showing the human side of what we do. So,
guys.
but on that note, all right. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.